Hello, happy Monday. I'm so glad you're here. And if you have been following along, we are on number 8. Yes, we're talking about number 8, um, the things that nobody tells you about weight loss and keeping it off, maintaining weight loss. That's what we're diving into. And I'm telling you 20 things. So we're almost to the halfway point. It's crazy. If you don't know me, I'm Amanda Kelder. I'm a Christian weight loss and life coach. And I love helping women reclaim their self-control around food. Because guess what? Food has no control over you. It only has the control you give it, and you can totally take that back. So, let's dive into today. We're talking about number 8, use fear, don't avoid it. Okay, so here was me. This is past me about, I don't know how many years ago, about 6 years ago. We're going on now. I used to work as an RN, if you don't know a little bit about my history. And so that would mean that I would eat sometimes at work, sometimes I wouldn't. But I had a lot of stress. I created a lot of stress in my job too. And I would come home and I would head straight to the pantry. And I would be telling myself, I need something, anything. Yes, those crackers sound good. I'll eat a few of those and they'll look the cashews. I polish off a couple handfuls in between picking up the mess that was going around the house and the homework the kids need to be done. And then I would be frustrated. I'd be frustrated because maybe some things that happened at work, or because the kids weren't listening, or because I thought I should have had things done beforehand. And in my head, I would feel frustrated, but in my head, I'm like, I don't have time to be frustrated. These kids need to eat. My husband comes home soon and he's texted me. He says he's had a tough day and I can't be wound up and having a tough day too. So we go back to the pantry and I would grab some Doritos or chips because honestly, I didn't know how to deal. I didn't know how to deal with all the stress, all the frustration, all the anxiety, worry, all that stuff spinning around inside of me. And I thought it was my job to make my husband and my kids and everything around me like calm. But I wasn't calm. And so I would just keep heading back to that pantry and I keep eating anything that was quick to grab. I would literally consume a whole meal's worth of food in 30 minutes before I even started supper. Seriously. And all because I didn't want to actually deal with what I was feeling. I I didn't want to look at it because I thought that I needed to be happy, loving, caring for my kids and my husband, and I couldn't get there if I let myself feel those other things. I had to be the calm one. I had to keep it all together. I actually feared showing emotion because if I did, I was worried I would get totally out of control. And I didn't know what my husband would think. And then my kids would probably start acting up. And what would happen if I actually feel these things? It was so unknown to me. So I would just eat through it because then I would just worry about feeling the things. I would eat to avoid dealing with whatever emotion I was having. Because honestly, I did not know how to manage or feel my own emotions. And I find most of my clients can relate to this. And I bet you can relate a little bit too. You eat food to deal with the stress, the anxiety, the worry, the guilt, the shame, all of it. You want to know what all of these emotions have in common? They're a form of fear. And not healthy fear, not like the one that you're about to step on a poisonous snake kind of fear, but this perceived fear that something bad is coming, that you're not doing a good enough job, that you should have done it better, that you're unworthy. And instead of recognizing that fear, what do? We cover it up with food. And then we wonder why we just can't stop eating. Because what we're doing is we're just putting a mask on that fear. And fear in itself is a mask for what God really wants you to pay attention to, a mask for the good gift God is offering to you in that moment. So, what if you just looked under that mask? What might you see? Like, what if you looked under that fear? What might you see? I know some of the things you'll see, but I know the common theme that you will find. If you actually look under the fear, you'll see good. And the enemy wants to cover up all the good, so he uses fear to do it. And there is a simple process to help you find the good. It's curiosity. It's very simple. It's taking these emotions that you're having, the frustration, the worry, the doubt, the anxiety, and getting curious about them. And when you get curious instead of avoiding them with food, that's when you tap into the goodness of God. Once I started getting curious about my stress in the evenings, I realized that the real problem were my expectations at work. And the food was covering that up. And I couldn't solve for my focus on being perfect in my job and not recognizing how good I was doing at my job until I was aware where that stress was actually coming from. I could get awareness, and I couldn't get awareness until I got curious. And I actually felt the emotion rather than eat through it, because eating through it just made me avoid it more. And from there, I ate less after work. And on top of that, I wasn't as stressed. I was actually able to make supper without eating all the food while making it. And I was able to enjoy conversations with my husband in the evening rather than spinning in my head about work and the food I just ate. All because I walked toward that fear. I took that fear, unmasked it, and found what was at the bottom of it. And I found my stress, which actually was a really good thing. It was showing me something. And I looked at the stress rather than hiding in a bag of chips. If you struggle with eating because of emotions, because you're trying to avoid them, you don't really want to look at them, you're worried at what you might see, I can help you. That's my jam. Sign up for a discovery call and learn more about how to use fear as actually a driver to get to the root of the problem, understand it, and find the good in it rather than numb it with food. All right. I will see you in a couple of days as we dive in to number 9. Bye now.